Hello, and welcome to the Old Farm Bus Podcast. This is the back of the bus session.
Hello and welcome to the Old Farm Bus, Back of the Bus Sessions podcast. I'm back, baby, and who better to be back with than this phenomenal guest. We did a small documentary together and I was really proud to be a part of that. She's very inspiring and she's on this bus today. Welcome aboard, Phoebe Gilbert! Yeah! Do you like the energy?
I do.
Are you feeling that?
I feel it.
Have you ever been on a podcast before?
Not one like this.
I was going to say, did they have that amount of energy?
No.
Winner.
And it wasn't a bus, so
Oh,
you're
really?
winning.
That's what I want. I want unique selling points.
Me here.
How on earth are you feeling? Because you're looking fantastic.
Oh, thank
you are
you.
feeling like I've just shown you around the farm. We've had a
Yeah.
bit of a day together.
Yeah, I love
and you've
it.
got a great energy about you and glow. Are you feeling that, or
I am.
are you ruined inside?
Wow. How deep do you want to go?
Let's go. This is why we do podcasts, baby.
Should make everyone cry.
Yeah.
I'm feeling good. I'm absolutely loving it. I'm super happy to be here. Just met your baby.
Oh, she's good, isn't she?
Oh, she's gorgeous.
Because you deal with that age.
Well, 10 months and then up to
Okay.
4.
I don't know how old
So-
she is now. I'm joking. She's 6 months. 6 months
Give
going
a
on
check.
7 years. But yeah, she's so special. But honestly,
she's gorgeous.
that experience has fully gained me an understanding of
Yeah.
that extra hurdle in life. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? You go through life phases, don't you?
Yeah.
And me in particular, I go through a really rough patch and
Yeah.
turbulent area and then come through with this newfound wisdom.
Yeah.
And I go, I've got it now. I've got it. And then I walk on again and go, oh, no, I did that. But this new discovery and this new bit of wisdom feels
Yeah.
so powerful that
Yeah.
you won't let go of it. It subsides your ego. Do you
Yeah.
know what I mean? You just think, I've got something beautiful to look after now. And honestly, I've never felt in that way before.
Yeah, but you and Chrissy are just amazing parents. You can tell by the little blonde you have.
Oh,
All three
thank
of you.
you.
It's just such a nice unit. I love it.
Do you know what? I really do feel that as well.
Yeah.
I've got that connection. It doesn't feel forced. It doesn't feel fake. It just
Yeah.
feels really authentic.
Yeah.
And I live for that. I've never
love
had
it.
anything like it. So thank you so
Yeah,
much.
I love it. I just think you're all too cute.
Well-
She's a split image of both of you. I can't work out who she looks like. It's just both.
Do you know, with your work then,
Yeah.
and when you're dealing with young children like that,
Yeah.
do they get attachments to you?
Yeah, 100%. Well, they're with you for 6 hours. No, well, 10 hours for 5 days a week. Like 100%.
Wow.
Like, I love it because there'll be babies that when I leave the room will start screaming and kicking. And I just think, you're
'Cause
mine.
it was straight, like with Ella,
Yeah.
she's a lockdown baby and we've been taking her out little bits and doing the best we can, but
Yeah.
obviously you are very restricted.
Yeah.
And we're doing our best to like give her to our grandparents and
Yeah.
give her to my mum and dad and give her a bit of time away from us.
Yeah.
But mainly she's cried her little soul out to everybody. And you got a little glimpse of it today, but she was shockingly good with you.
Woohoo.
Yeah, but what is that? Is it did some people just emanate a certain aura?
I think some people, like when you hand them a baby that's not theirs and they start crying, they panic. So
Yeah.
the baby's going to pick up on that panic, and obviously that person will then start looking at mum because you're wondering if mum's panicking.
Yeah.
And then there's a whole triangle of
And
panic.
I was going to say, yeah, I suppose mum would be like, it's all right.
Yeah. Whereas you just need to walk away, do something else, like just keep her entertained, like I was doing earlier. Just think she's
Right.
crying.
It works.
Yeah, it
Well,
works.
this is
You
big
just
because
got-
you and Chrissy were having a good chat. Well, obviously, I couldn't come and get you. Bloody tree trunk leg over here. But you're having a nice chat on the way.
Yeah.
And what's it called that you were talking to Chrissy about?
Which oh gosh, I forgot the name.
It begins with an M, and it's sign language for
I
kids.
forgot the name of it. I'm gonna have to come back to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was
The
sign
premise
language.
of it.
I was literally talking about it 5 minutes ago, and it's just gone out of my
As soon as you
brain.
get on a podcast, everything goes, mate.
Everything's gone.
You have to wing it.
Oh, what was it called? That's gonna annoy me. But yeah, it's just the
I'll
power
put a big like a text up and it'll just go, this is the word. Or it'll come halfway through the podcast.
Come halfway through and I'm going to go...
An emotional bit as well.
Yeah, I want a light bulb emoji in my head when it comes. It's just the power of, sign and learning sign. A lot of my kids, the ones that know sign, and they'll be 1 year old, and if they know that little bit of sign, I want to say Macintosh, and that's not it. It's really annoying.
It's definitely not Macintosh. But I think you're absolutely near the knuckle on it.
Yeah. But it's the power of just being able to communicate when they can't communicate, and I think it's really, really important. Macaton.
Macaton. Oh, you were really on the knuckle, yeah.
Yeah, Macaton. Just do that. I would just say to every parent, just do that. It's so powerful.
Seriously?
Yeah.
What did you go to uni to study? What were you originally there for?
So that was childhood studies.
Childhood studies.
All that I'm seeing now and doing and working with now is all that I've studied for the past 3 years.
Is there a lot of science that goes into it then?
There's a lot of love that goes into it.
Love seems like the most important element.
Important thing.
I suppose the most overlooked element a lot of the time.
100%. There's a book called Why Love Matters, and I would just say read that because it's just so important into understanding every little thing you do is so important, and will be making connections in her brain and feeling loved and receiving it and giving
it feels like that's the only book you'll ever need on your shelf.
Literally, Why Love Matters.
Why Love Matters.
That's all you need.
Yeah. Doesn't even just need to be for children, but for now times with the political spectrum, polarization of everybody together, and fear-based.
Yeah.
Love.
Just give it a bit of love.
It makes life so much more simple though when you go back to your moral compass, tune in with yourself and go, is this a loving part of my nature?
Yeah.
And work with that. I know I watched the film Donnie Darko, I love films. Donnie Darko while I've been cooped up.
Yeah.
And it was very interesting though, because he's going through sort of psychosis.
Right.
And the teacher writes this spectrum, and it's like you've got these emotions, it's fear and love. But then he gets a bit annoyed during it because he's like, no, there's so much more that this entails, and there's a magnitude of other factors we're not taking into consideration.
Yeah.
And I do agree with that. But sometimes simplifying things back a little bit makes life really enjoyable.
Yeah, definitely.
And important.
Literally, that is it. And going back to the question of this, was there science behind it? There is, but it genuinely just love. That is what they need. That's what everyone needs.
I suppose that is why they gravitate towards you then, because you just exude
That's all you do.
that feeling.
Yeah.
I mean, we did the documentary together. Do you mind going into that a little bit? Because it was a powerful experience for me.
Yeah.
I'd never done a documentary before properly.
Yeah.
And your dad got in touch, and I work with your dad.
Yeah.
And I was very nervous for it, and especially when I found out what it was going to be about, because I know how close it is to your family and to yourselves, and I wanted to do a good job of it, to be honest.
You did. You aced it. So
I think we all did. It was a gallant team effort.
Yeah, definitely.
But do you go onto a lot of platforms and podcasts and give talks about that sort of content?
So the content being lost, I would say yes and no. I do on and off work at the minute with it, and we wrote the 2 books on loss, the recent one being Independent Thinking on Loss, and that's when we did the documentary together. I would say I do a lot of what I'm doing at the minute is I just want people to talk about it. But I've also obviously got, I work with kids on the side, so I'm trying to also live my life, but also create awareness. I don't want loss to be the whole thing that I do.
Of course. I mean, but being a big element of yourself because you've experienced it, and through that experience you can help others.
Definitely.
And you don't want to talk too much about the bad things you went through during it.
Yeah.
But that did help craft you to go on a bit of I don't want to say rampage, but go on a bit of a mission towards helping others through it.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
could we just do a little bit of the talking of the not so good parts of what you had? Like, how old were you when you lost your mum?
So I was 9. I was literally just, not a little baby, but just a little girl. So I was 9 years old. She'd been poorly for quite a while. It was a tragic accident. It was awful, and it was awful. There's no other way to describe it. But you have 2 options. One option is survive, and the other option is do more than survive and become someone and do something with it. Statistics say that we should just be on drugs, homeless, out of school, in prison, and nor me nor my siblings have taken that route. We wanted more. We wanted to do more.
Are the statistics really damning? Are they really high?
Yeah. And going back to love, I think it was the love that we had, and that one specific person of the attachment that got us where we are, which I think was mainly my grandparents. Them
Really?
being that significant person that was always there. That was my granny.
Do you know, even like friends of this age and friends that you've got now, do they find it hard to talk to you about it?
At the beginning, but I deal with it in humour.
Really?
Like in proper humour. And I remember when I first met my partner, he was like, I'll never be able to, joke about it, like it's too sad. And then we went to see my mum's grave, and we came out and he went, it's really down to earth.
Oh, wow. I want to give
around.
your boyfriend a little fist bump. That's
Turned
crazy.
around and I was like, yeah, now you're starting. Now we can stay together. You get it.
I think everything's context, isn't it? And I lost my grandma a month ago, or a month or two ago. And it was very heartbreaking. Losing anyone in the family or close by is very heartbreaking. But me and Chrissy managed to communicate a lot on humour. And why not? Do you know what I mean? In context, if you're together and you just getting through it in your own best way, it really suited us, so we stuck to that. But then I wouldn't do it in the funeral service or something and say, whatever, wasn't she great and all this? But well, she was great, but I couldn't think of a joke that would be suitable for them.
No, I know what you mean.
But context just works for you, so knowing what you are, what you're about, and what suits you is so vital for them moments.
And kind of going back to that laughter and everything, I remember my dad saying, laughter is the glove that allows us to touch anything too difficult to handle.
Your dad's a very clever man, isn't he? Well, how big is this bookshelf at home? Is it a library? It's
not one.
No, God.
I can count about 6, and that's not all of them. There's too many.
Powerful.
And I think they're all in alphabetical order. You could say, where's this book? And he'll say, I know
straight
exactly
away.
where it is. Yeah, and I said to him, I remember last time I said, have you read all of them? He said, no, a book will tell you when it wants to be read. And I just think, only an author's going to say that.
Everything's got to be philosophical nowadays.
Oh, hasn't it?
It's always a metaphor.
And then there'll be a thunk coming out of nowhere, and then my brain will hurt.
So, and during that patch, there was like a few teachers and so on that didn't really know how to handle the situation. Am I correct by saying?
Yeah, 100%. I think that in the world, well, not in the world, in the UK, we don't know how to deal with death. We don't know how to deal with death on a normal basis, let alone when it's from a little girl that's just lost her mum. And then a lot of the work that we've done previously is, trying to help teachers and just people in general respond better when you've lost someone. Like when I was little, I was made to sit in a Mother's Day assembly, and I just remember people turning around, but no one did anything. A teacher could have easily told me, right, look, this is what's going to happen, let's go sit in the library together, let's do something. But I can probably say that teachers just thought, that's too awkward, isn't it, like, let's not do it. It's people need to do more. That's what I see, I think. But they don't know what to do. They want to help, but they don't know how to help.
Is it getting better?
I think so, yeah. I think because, of the princes and everything, they've started talking about mental health, and that's kind of opened up a little space. And even more because of COVID, people have to talk about death. Everyone's, grieving, aren't they? Something.
I think it's opened up a huge door towards people. I think it's opened up minds completely. People that were stuck in certain jobs that they hated, being in factories or meaningless tasks, have all gone, hang on a minute, this existence is very limited. I'm in a blip of time. What am I doing with my life?
Literally.
And there's been a lot of whys being asked and what's being asked. So a lot of questions.
Definitely.
And I really like that in people.
I was saying to Chrissy on the way, like, the generations before us have been through so much, and our generation, I think we needed this. We needed this more than ever to just appreciate everything. Because I feel like we didn't, and now we do.
And there is that light and dark of it, isn't there? Because I do see a lot of anger being spilled about there. And like we said, polarity. through my social medias, but I've learned to manicure my social media a bit now.
Yeah.
So that sort of mute button is, I think, very healthy.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I don't need to see the influx of everything.
Yeah.
So now I've started to do that, and I am seeing more loving aspects of nature being shared.
Yeah.
I'd love it in people being creative and putting forward their art and their best pieces of self. And the conversations I've been having is like, well, I was scared to do it before because, you know, I needed to just work, and then I was too tired to get home and do that. But now I've been given time, which is so important.
Yeah, definitely.
Everyone's gone, do you know what? I'm going to just beat on my craft. I'm going to beat on my passions.
Yeah.
And that just seems so inspiring at the minute.
Yeah.
I'm really proud that people are taking that from what I'm seeing.
Yeah. Everyone's got a little side hustle now, haven't they?
Yeah,
Like
it's been in place.
Yeah.
Because it's been quite regimented into us. And, you know, you've not heard my story, but I got kicked out of my school. So my primary school didn't want me. I went to another one, managed to just scrape through that, got into this secondary school.
Yeah.
That was just a terror. I'll tell you this little story, and I've said it on here before, but come on.
Go on,
we've got
I
a
wanna
whiskey.
hear it.
I was in my last meeting at school, and I was with the head teacher, and he was an ex-Marine, so very militant man. And this was just my moment of, education isn't for me. And it was because my sister has got a different second name to me. So she's a Mullen-Farose and I'm a Markham.
Right.
And she is the genius of the family. Like she's
all the brain.
She's a human rights solicitor in London, doing incredible things, saving people's lives and doing great stuff. Me, running around, breaking knees, hitting trees, basically not doing the right thing to society standard. And at school, we had this meeting, and the head teacher loved my sister, but she's 5 years older than me, and he didn't know she was my sister.
Right.
So we went in with my mum, who's a Mullen-Farose, like my sister, and they're really proud of the heritage because my granddad was like a famous doctor, and I'm a Markham, and all we're known for is Birmingham. Bunch of bummers. And went in, and the teacher's just screaming at me mum, and they're going mad at each other. So he's like, seriously, he can't read, he can't write, he's in year 9, he's not listening, what is the point of him being here? And my mum's shouting back because she is sassy. So she's like, it's your responsibility.
Yeah, it is.
He's in school to learn, he's in school to do all this, and they're just passing the blame onto each other basically, and they're shouting at each other. And then I literally remember this moment really vividly because he whacked his big marine hand onto the table and I thought in my little Mikey mind, you shouldn't have done that, mate. Not to me mum. So he whacks it down and he went, Mrs. Markham, what are we going to do about your boy? And my mum, who's really proud of her heritage and her name, went, I am not a Mrs. Markham, I'm a Mrs. Mullen-Farose. And then the teacher, and I've never seen like an energy relax so much, pieced together that was my mum's sister, my sister's mum.
Right.
So he just went, are you Beth's mum? And then my mum then really proudly looks up and she's like, yeah, I'm Beth's mum. And then he looked at me and he looked across and looked at me again and went, you must be so disappointed in Michael. And I just remember like breaking in two after that. And I tell that story when we go into schools a little bit, and I go in with Martin and I always say I was nuts before that and I went Brazil nuts after that.
Well, you're bound to.
Yeah, I did. I really struggled. So I tried to get kicked out, and eventually they just said, do you know what, let him do his exams and stuff, but from outside, let him do it at home.
Yeah.
So I really struggled with education, and then I went on this big ride of doing them meaningless tasks. So I went and worked at Thornton's.
Right.
And I'm a big thinker. I've always had that about me, and my mind's just been 100 miles an hour, as you can probably tell. I was just really struggling mentally. I'd been to like close suicides, deep, dark depressions, really painful existence.
Yeah.
And I remember just watching all these chocolates pass me by, and I'm like putting them in box after box after box. So I was thinking in my mind, do you know what? I'm going to try dancing and just try and get through it. And as I was dancing, the boss came over and started yelling at me again. And all my life had been not that loving nature, but fear-based nature.
Yeah.
So I just had a meltdown that day, and I just started throwing things around.
Did you?
I did. Just threw the boxes around and just said, I'm out of here. Because I was looking at people by, and I think it was a conversation that I had with an older bloke on that shift.
Right.
And he just looked at me and went, mate, you're not built for this. Get out now. I've signed myself up for this. I'm depressed. I understand, but I've got nothing else to live for. Get out. And this is an old guy. I was only like 19, maybe 17 at the time.
Yeah.
And I just had this click, and I threw things aside. I needed like Rocky music on. I just stormed out. And then I went and spoke to my mate. And within 2 weeks, we'd booked tickets to go to Australia for a year. So I went out travelling.
Yeah.
And then I did a year in Oz. I did a year in South Africa. And just, I went around travelling.
Yeah.
But eventually, what got me home was because I never wanted to get back because I didn't have a passion. So I had nothing to come back for. I was just really enjoying being in hot climates, meeting people, enjoying new experiences.
Yeah.
The good, the bad and the ugly. But one day when I was away, I got a phone call from my dad. And my dad's, you've not met him today, but his name's Dave. You've got a picture in your head now.
Well, you've just gone like that.
Tattoos, you know what you're getting, farmer. And he just called me up. And he just reeled off all these terrible things that was going on at home. Just like, he's like, how are you getting on? I was like, fine. What about you? Oh, this has happened. And then the last one was, oh, and your mate from back home had been killed in a knife crime incident. And it just, I don't know, it punched me in the face. I remember just thinking, what is life? What is the point of this? Why are we back home in I don't know how you say it, but like machines of just going out on the weekend, being in jobs, and then violence? That's all I could imagine back home being. So I took the day off. I cried a lot, and then I just started writing, and I never wrote a thing ever because at school I was told dyslexic, so stay away from writing. So then when I ended up going on this big purge and this big cathartic feeling, I eventually thought, I've got something to say. I feel like I've got a superpower. I was like Dora the Explorer with a pen going around and going, this is cool. So I came back home. This is getting to the end of the story really, and why Rhythmical Mike came to be. But I performed eventually to me dad in the kitchen one day. So I'd had a few of those. And sat down and just said, Dad, can I perform you a poem? And he just went, you what? Poem? And I goes, go on then. So I started performing this poem to him about my friend in the knife crime incident and society and all things like that. And I looked across and my dad was blubbering, like crying his eyes out. And I never felt a connection with my dad before. We'd not really bonded over emotions and so on. So from that moment, I thought, this is a powerful tool. This is, if you want to change things, this is a way of talking to people. Being thought out with your words and choosing them carefully and putting them on paper and editing through. So that gave me a bit of a superpower. And then I went on and started meeting creatives and new people, and it shaped me. And I feel creativity would have been a massive thing for me at school, would have been a really good way to help me channel my energy that they couldn't deal with. But they just went, no, he's not fitting into our boxes, into these shapes, so let's just get rid of him. And so you wanted to hear my story and you got it. But
what a roller coaster.
It's a bit of who I am. And that's why I'm passionate about working with your dad and working on missions in school and helping people that don't need to go through all the wrongs that we experienced. You know what I mean? I go to schools now and I see bullying happen and unfolding, and teachers sort of just, I know they can see it in their peripherals, but they're not taking a moment out to go, no, it stops now.
Yeah.
Because bullying was the biggest one for me. That's what really, really affected my mental health.
Yeah.
Hated school from that. So yeah, I'm passionate about learning from my experiences and going and sharing them. And that's why I love what you're doing and I love what you're about. So
thank you. Well,
yeah.
I was just about to say, there's always another way, and actually, you're welcome, Dan.
You said it.
But there is, and I think that's the worst part, especially in the UK, is that it's just, oh, you're naughty, go on. Go, I'm not going to spend the time with you, but it should be, you're naughty, what can we do? You're not even naughty, it's a cry for help in a way, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's
yeah. Or you're struggling.
You're struggling, yeah. You know, like, instead of, you must be so disappointed in him, let's sit down together and,
work this out.
Work it out.
Something's not, no, they're not enjoying the experience. We're not enjoying the experience. You're not enjoying the experience. What can we all do together to make this a good experience for everyone involved?
Literally. But it's just, some people just think it's black and white. They just think, right, well, you whatever, we can't help you, but you can. There's so many things that people can do.
Why do you think the education system followed that suit? Do you know why it ended up being sort of a factory for breeding obedient people?
Puppets.
Yeah.
Because it's easy. It's easy to just make a framework, isn't it, and make people follow it, and if you don't follow it, then you're stupid, or I don't think Ofsted helps in a sense that you've got to follow this and you've got to achieve so much, but they don't take into account that you may, not everyone's on the same level.
Yeah.
I hate maths. I hate maths. I'm shit at it. I'm going to say rubbish, sorry, Dad, but I'm shit at it. I hate it.
You go.
Shit at it. But I just love talking. I love helping people. But they always said, you can't do your maths, you won't get into uni. Well, I'm in uni now. I'm a founder of my own business. There's so much I can achieve, and I just didn't want to sit in the exam and deal with the anxiety of having to do pie. And I've never used pie in my life. I'll eat it, but I'll never use it.
What's your favourite?
Oh God, steak.
Yeah. I'm celiac, so I don't understand what you're talking about right now.
Never mind then.
When we say you're helping people, what does that consist of then? What are you going in and trying to implement?
So I think it originally started from just wanting to make sure no other child has to go through what I went through. Not in the sense of losing a parent. I don't think I can change that. I can't, I can do what I can to help you after you've lost someone, but I can't change it. But I can change how people look after you, during what you're going through. So that's kind of where it stemmed from. And then now with the new company of Cwtchy Care, I wanted to create a support kit for children who have just lost a parent, lost whoever they love. There's nothing out there that says, look, I can't take it away, but here you go. So I wanted a cuddle in a box. And then because of COVID, that stemmed from, just for children, just for adults as well. And then another one, which is like a box that you can just send to someone you love if you miss them, because you can't cuddle them. We're not allowed to see anyone yet, really. Like I'd send it to my granny, I haven't seen her in a year, but you can send her a cuddle in a box.
This is genius. So it's literally a cuddle in a box. Explain that.
Well, the first bit of a cuddle in a box comes from the gravity blanket. So I wanted a weighted gravity blanket.
Wow.
Which kind of gives you that feeling of like the heaviness of just a nice cuddle and that warm touch. And you've got, velvet hot water bottles in there. We've got calming balms. We've got soaps. We've got a seasonal affective disorder lamp, so like a therapy lamp. Just loads of things that I just wanted to bring to people. Bereavement resources from Winston's Wish. A memory jar, photo frame, lots of things in there.
I like that you're working with Winston Wish as well.
Yeah.
Winston's Wish.
Winston's Wish, yeah.
Too many W's. But what better time as well in these times to deliver cuddles in boxes.
Literally, everyone's grieving, aren't we? We're grieving a life. We're grieving, a year that we've lost with people that we love. We're grieving loved ones.
Everything that you've known.
Yeah.
It's just been flipped on its head.
Oh, honestly, it's just been shit, isn't it?
And like we say, there's some people that have rose from the ashes through this.
Yeah.
But the ones that have struggled and felt lost and confused through this cuddles in boxes.
Cuddle in a box. If I could cuddle everyone, I'll do it. I love a Cwtch, which is why it's called a Cwtchy Care. Is because Cwtch is a Welsh term from Nina, who kind of helped us get through our bereavement through kind of offering us a Cwtch, which is just more than a cuddle. It's just a massive, safe, secure, warm space, and that's what I wanted. So that's
wow. And what's the company called?
Cwtchy Care.
So if I went on the website, and it says about, what would that say? What's your sort of?
Oh gosh, it's all about it's about how this whole business is just inspired through loss. I wanted to create something. I didn't want to just lose mum and that be it. So that's what the about bit is all about. It's just about me creating something after life after death, really.
And have you had any success stories out of this? Have you had any people that you've worked with yet, or young people spoken to you and you felt a moment of connection and I feel I've helped them in this moment? Yeah,
all the time. I mean, this is a funny story. One of my best friends, Helen, I literally met in an airport. We met because we have the same story, because I've connected with her over, all of my loss and her loss. She lost her mum. I somehow have a magnet that says dead mum.
No
Come
way.
to me. Have you got a dead mum? Come to me, because I think about 5 of my closest friends have lost a mum, and I don't know how. I don't walk around saying, "Is your mum dead? Let's be friends."
I mean, that would be a strange conversation starter.
Yeah, well, as Dad calls us, we're demi-orphans. So get the T-shirt. Have a demi-orphan T-shirt. Here you are.
That is odd how you've all connected from that. But so you've all had those conversations, and did you all deal with it in very different ways then when you've had those conversations?
Yeah, but I am the person that's ahead. I've got like the biggest gap between losing mum.
Yes.
So I think my friends see me as, the steps of what's to come. So I can kind of help them in what they're going through, because I know that each year is completely different. And we all deal with it differently, but we've all given each other kind of support in how to deal with it, and I think that's really important.
Age must be quite an integral part of it, do you know what I mean? And from 0 to so long, from 3 to this point, I suppose every year is a very different way of dealing with it.
Yeah, 100%.
So, and you were 9?
Yeah.
What was happening around that time for you then? Were you being year 6?
Oh no, I was in year 4.
Year 4?
So, yeah, little, yeah.
Okay, so did you have to go out of school for a little bit?
So my school were amazing in the sense that, they were like, you can come back when you want, take some time, which I did. They also helped the kids to make like cards that were sent to me, which was just amazing, because then you've taught 9-year-olds how to respond to grief.
Wow.
Whereas, my sister's school were like, you need to get back in for your exams, you need to do this, you need to do that.
Because I think if we can focus on the ones that smashed it and did it right for you, and those people, can you reflect on any that did the right conversations? Because as you can probably tell in my nature now and how I feel, it is such a topic that I've tried to stay away from until recent, really. Dealing with my grandma's death, and I tried to do a poem. I did do a poem at a funeral, but I thought, I've got it. I was reading, and then suddenly I just broke down, and I'd just been bottling it, and I hadn't realised. And then I got it out, and I was proud of myself for managing, but the bottling of it is so dangerous, and it's not wise to do. So I'm feeling the more I accept death, the more I appreciate the conversation surrounding death, the better I can help, Ella when she gets older to understand it, because it's such, there's life and there's death, and that's the biggest factor of life. So having these conversations, I want to know how to approach them better.
Yeah, like as I said at the end of the documentary that we did, just talk. We need to talk. I think that people see it as they're going to traumatise you if they ask you about it, but the truth is, I've been through the trauma. I've gone through the worst bit, which is losing mum, and in fact I want you to talk to me about it. I remember saying that to my partner. I want you to talk to me about talk to me about a memory. Let me tell you why she was funny, what she used to do. People just need to get comfortable with it. It's going to happen. You're going to lose your mum and dad at some point. It's crap, but you're going to. I'm going to lose dad, which is a massive fear. It's his birthday this week, and I hate it because it's getting older and it's terrifying, but we just got to face it. We're going to die someday.
It's what makes life so beautiful, though, isn't it? Because, you know, with these passions that we've got, with my music, with your interests of life, it makes you have thirst to get things done, get things achieved.
Yeah.
You know, if we had infinite time, we probably wouldn't get off our arses ever.
Exactly.
I know I wouldn't.
No, I wouldn't. And I was thinking the other day, you know, before COVID happened, there were so many people who had plans. And that, I think, is the thing that makes my heart break when I think about COVID and however many deaths now. These people had plans. There were people that were young here that we've lost, that had plans. And they had no idea that within a day or two they're going to catch this virus, and that was it. Like, it's just that just makes me want to get out and do more and live more. Yeah, just go and do it, because there's thousands of people that can't live, that haven't lived through this.
I mean, even going through illness or going through a pain, like me now on my crutches. I'm being over dramatic if I say I nearly died in there. But being put under and having an operation, surgery, and being opened up.
Yeah.
And then you go in the room and you're sat with like older people and they're on catheters and drips and whatever's going on. I was looking around, I had an existential moment in there just thinking, life is short, and actually feeling the pain. Yeah. It kind of inspired me. It went, as soon as you get your health back, when you get your legs back and walking, I'm really going to push again. Those days where you do, because you know when you've overdone it, and it's not bad to watch a film now and then and sit down, but if you just procrastinating for procrastinating's sake, going back to that feeling I got in the hospital of, no, you've got your health, you've got your legs, you've got, get on and do it. It's so important, and that's how I feel to death. When I reflect and remind myself of death, it makes me think, leave a legacy, leave something behind, be proud of something, make something of your life.
Literally, make a change. Just get up in the morning and think, I want to do something to make a change to someone's day at least.
Because I feel that for like Mini Mikey and all Mini friends at the time when we were in Thorntons together or doing them meaningless tasks. Yeah. I just wanted to get a big speaker up and go, you're all gonna die one day. Remind yourself of that. Yeah. Now what do you want to do? Yeah. And I think you'd be very different if, like you say, we have these conversations of death, reflect on it and go, what do I want out of my life then? Literally. What do I want it to be? Yeah. So do you feel, because you've experienced it so young and you've had to think about it and you've been given this quest, it's made you inspired, it's made you want to go out there?
Yeah, definitely. There's two answers to that. One, I think about death all the time. And I could be on the train. Even today I was on the train and I thought I'm going to die on the train. Really? But that's just because I've been exposed to death so young that my brain thinks that's going to happen. And two, oh gosh, I feel like, there's no other way it's going to inspire you. And I think from a young age you just feel like you're either going to go down with it and you're going to go, just fail because it hurts so much and just do rubbish because it hurts so much, or you just need to just get out of bed and do something with it. You've got to take the pain, smack it in the face, turn it around and make something empowering with it.
I mean, I feel this because this podcast and this platform for me was always just a space for Big Mikey talking to Mini Mikey. And that quote, be the person you needed when you were younger. Yeah. And a big truth of my life as well, I breezed through a bit of my story. I was like, I did that. One of the biggest points of my life and centre points was when I got into substances. Right. And I was heavily into substances because I couldn't deal with loss. Yeah. So I went through a breakup, and because I'd not had a very loving childhood, and my mum, incredible, inspiring woman, but not like, she openly said, I never wanted kids, didn't want you. So that can hurt you as a kid. Yeah, that's gonna and leave imprints. Yeah. So later on, I had attachment issues. Right. Got into a really powerful relationship in South Africa. We're like together, we're gonna live forever in this glorious land. Came back home, reality hit. And then one day I came home to a letter on my bed and it just said, I've gone. And honestly, most of my friends had breakups and it'd be a couple of weeks and they'd be back on it and normal. It took me months, and because the pain wouldn't subside, it was just down and darker and more. I literally got to the point, I typed in on Reddit, easiest ways to die. And I swear on my life, I was that far, like an inch away from ending it, I was just too scared to do it, in honesty.
Yeah.
And I'd been and got razors and everything you can imagine. I was so close. But somebody on this thread literally put this, and I do not advocate substances or anything of that accord, but I'm just giving you my honest life and honest anecdote of my life. And he said, before you do anything daft, why don't you try psychedelic?
Yeah.
And I did. I was like, I live in Ripley. I know.
I know a man.
I know a guy who knows a guy. Mad about a dog. And I did.
Yeah.
And I could tell that story for hours.
Yeah.
But I went on this quest then, and it was the most powerful moment of my life. And that taught me so many things in one night.
Yeah.
And so many incredible things,
Yeah.
really powerful things
Yeah.
that I'll never forget. And I had a thing, what they call an ego death experience.
Yeah.
So I literally did die that night, but come back into the infinite awe of love, which not many people will understand.
Yeah.
The one thing that did happen to me through all that was I ended up getting not addicted to substances, but to the experience of what they give. So then I went really too far down the line of that,
Yeah.
which would take me into really bad, severe mental health. So
Yeah.
psychosis, schizophrenia, severe paranoia.
Yeah.
And I've tasted everything. I've been through so much, but because I've had that ego death experience,
Yeah.
and I felt like I died one night. I mean, there's a good story there, but I won't go there. I'll save that. But I feel it really grounded me, because it was just my body, this meat sack that I'm in, that died.
Yeah.
But my consciousness went somewhere else. I went into other lands, other territory.
Yeah.
I don't know what that was. I don't call it God or anything like that, but I experienced something other that night, out of body. And ever since then, I've literally never feared death again at all, because I couldn't talk about it before, and I was exactly the same as you.
Yeah.
I always thought about death.
Yeah.
I was really, really scared of the what next and the fear of the unknown. But the second I feel like I've experienced it,
Yeah.
and I had a death experience, and I've had one without drugs as well. I crashed the car upside down on the motorway, but but I've had so many
I love how
near
you
death.
just say that, like,
I've got
flip the car.
silly little Mikey. But I can come back with the reports of all these stories and tell young people or people, you don't need to go there, you don't need to do this. But I like making the mistakes for people. Because
You're
I've
the
made
guinea
them. I
pig.
feel like I've come back with the little bits of wisdom from them.
Yeah.
And that one for me was, it made it not fearful, because there felt like something other, and I
Yeah.
don't know what to call it, but it doesn't make me fearful anymore
Yeah.
at all. It's really
Yeah.
strange.
That's like empowering, isn't it? I feel like there's got to be more. Like when I think, I'm terrified of it in the sense of saying, like, I was on the train and I thought about it. Yeah, it scares me, but also after Mum died, you want to think they've gone somewhere beautiful.
Yeah.
So it makes me not so scared as I used to be, but convinced that there's got to be more. We can't just be here and then go.
Because when you say you've got fear towards it, is that your fear? Is it the unknown?
Possibly. Yeah, I think so. I think, if anything, when I think about, like, dying on the train, I don't think it's scared of me dying. I think I'm more scared of my family, like leaving my family. And I think about my dad. But I think that just comes from a traumatized child's brain.
Yeah. No, yeah, I'm just psychoanalyzing right now. I wonder, because if you ask most people about death, and we had this conversation,
Yeah.
the 90% would say they're scared of it or they're fearful. And I wonder what that is. I mean, it's going to be different in everybody.
Yeah.
But all stems from a similar place, I suppose.
Yeah.
And my sister had blood clots last year. She's, again, incredible woman, dedicating her life to people and causes. And she did a marathon, went running, stopped halfway, and she'd never had to stop before.
Right.
And she went to the doctors that day and said, I don't feel good. I'm something not right. And they just sent her home and said, you're all right, it's fine. Came home. I think she went back the next day and they sent her home again. As she went home, she passed out. And when luckily her partner was there, because if he wasn't there, she'd be dead definitely. It was a huge operation she had. And when the ambulance got to her, she only had 40% oxygen to her brain. So they saved her life. She was in intensive care for 2 weeks, but she died 2 times on the operating table. And again, because I've had a psychedelic-y death experience, and she's had an actual death experience, but we have the same connection. We're talking about, I went somewhere else, or I experienced something other.
Is that what she says?
Yeah, we had this exact same connection on it, and we went, it's weird, isn't it? It then subsides that fear. You go through it. So when you've been through a near death and you've been through something existential, you stop fearing. It's powerful.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I think the fact that as well you went somewhere else, it's not, it just stopped, it's you went somewhere else, and that's where your brain goes. I think that is.
Yeah, it wasn't like the ego sense Michael Markham went to another place and had this, but my consciousness carried on.
Yeah, exactly.
It felt like we're all connected. How I'm talking to you, it was like a one consciousness thing. I turned to one.
Okay, maybe I'm not scared anymore.
You'll be fine, man. But I do feel these conversations, so many like substances or so many, they're all need to be discussed. We need to be open books and willing to go, that's just an experience these people have been on.
Yeah, literally.
We need to be able to approach all things collectively and take them on board so we can help people through it.
I think there's so, like, as you've said, I'm not kind of saying do substances, but from what you're saying, like, I think people need to be able to explore that part of the world in their brain. I think there's so much to explore that we can't explore, that doing things like that safely could be a possibility to help people. Isn't there, like, I don't know if we're allowed to go into this, but like
on this podcast you are.
Like ecstasy rehabs and stuff that allow people to kind of like go through that and like kind of experience
I think MDMA they definitely use. I know that there's one on mushrooms at the minute they're doing with MMA fighters, because they used to think with parts of the brain, CT, the MMA fighters go through when their neurons die, that would just finish, your neurons were dead then. But actually what they're finding is with magic mushrooms, they're firing these neurons back to life. So they're regenerating part of the brain, which is powerful.
Mad.
So it makes me think, why are we not accepting all conversations? Why, like us now, why are we fearful of stepping into this territory when we go, I'm not going, kids, do drugs, but I'm going, here's a man of age that went through an experience, and here's why, and here's what it did for him. And just being scared death of, don't do drugs, kids, because this is your brain on drugs, this is what you're going to... Then what happens is you end up like me, not having a clue about them, trying to discover it for yourself on the internet, and just doing silly doses and not knowing safe regulation, where you can sort... all things like that. I don't advocate anybody to do anything.
No.
I just say, here's what I did, here's what I went on.
Yeah, but then we allow, alcohol and cigarettes.
I completely agree.
Benefits at all.
But I do. I just feel a problem we can sometimes have is we second guess what people are going to think and what people are going to experience by us saying a certain thing. So we try and manicure it or sculpture it in a certain way. And that's where probably the teachers that you were experiencing at school were struggling with, because they were like, oh, if I say this, she's going to be like this. And we have to be a little bit fearless to dare to not offend somebody, but maybe upset somebody, to then get through that breaking glass, to go, well, I'm sorry, this is what I wanted to say, and just constant conversation. Because through it, in the sticky territory, there's a beautiful pearl to be found, isn't there?
100%. That whole kind of like being scared, I think, is just so true, and people just need to be a little bit more fearless. But then we live in a world at the minute that you can't really say anything, because people will find something wrong.
Censor it.
With anything. So God knows, people just need to just go for it.
Reckless.
No, maybe not.
Go do drugs. No, that could be the snippet of this whole thing.
Do drugs. Or
no,
do drugs.
Definitely not. That is not the snippet. That is not the wisdom we take away from this.
As we go for a sip of this massive glass of wine.
So with you, have you got other passions you're spinning as well? Are you doing a lot of plate spinning?
I feel like I am and I'm not. I feel because of lockdown, I feel like I'm doing nothing and I'm doing everything. I mean, I work full time and I love that. I love my kids. I work in a forest school. And just watching these little lives.
Forest school sounds incredible.
Well, there's a lot of mud. A lot of poo, a lot of shit and a lot of mud. So
I mean,
that's what I deal with.
think I'll be okay.
You've got one pooey child and I've got 20 pooey children.
Oh, okay. That sort of poo.
Yeah, I
thought you meant being outside with like horse poos and
you
stuff.
You win with your farm. I can top trump you on pooey children.
Oh, God. Do you have to deal with all of that?
Yeah, of course I do. You've got explosions, you've got sick, you've got everything.
Wow. It's
taking a turn on this podcast. We've had drugs and now we've got pooey children.
I can deal with pooey children now. Go in. What's your worst experience? What happened?
Oh gosh. Well, the other day I was changing someone, a little boy, and he started weeing. And
I was going to say, you must have to take a lot of changes of clothes with you.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Ish. I remember another one where a child the other week just went, "You don't want to sit there," and we were like, "Why?" And she just went, "There's poo there." We were like, "What?" She was like, "Poo on my hand."
Oh,
and
God.
she'd obviously just gone down the back of her nappy and just pulled it out, but it was just the way she just went, "There's poo there, you don't want to sit there." Just looking at you like,
so blasé.
Yeah, and it was just all in her hand and we were
Deal
just
with
like,
it, miss.
But I think that was one of the worst ones.
What are the benefits of being at a forest school?
Oh, it's just connecting with nature, isn't it? There's so much about it with, the generation we've got that are just so technology based. I think there's so much beauty in not channeling maths and that type of stuff into young children's brains, just letting it free flow, get them outdoors, get them muddy. These kids, absolutely don't care about mud. They don't care about any of that, the nitty gritty. They just get down. It's all about their own free play. There's so much power in it, and I think that is so important.
Because obviously I've got to get to a stage where we're thinking about what school Ella's going to go to and what she's going to do, and I've really looked at Steiner Schools at the minute.
Right.
I'm very interested because my friend's who's a filmmaker, and one of his other friends is a really prolific musician, and so on, and I just keep seeing all these successful kids coming from Steiner Schools, and I ask them about it and they don't speak in such a good way about it, but I'm like, but you ended up amazing.
So what are Steiner Schools?
Steiner School is like a German school, so it's
like Steiner.
Sounds very scary and authoritative, but it's far from it. Again, it's them principles of discovery, and what they want to learn, they go and ask, and they can sort of dictate their own learning rather than have it dictated to them. So it's emphasis is more on that, but the children I'm talking to that went to those schools said they wish they had a little bit more knowledge towards technology, though, because they weren't shown that, so they would have liked to fine-tune balance of a bit of the mainstream education side of things.
I genuinely, I think I agree with that. I think there needs to be a little bit of balance. So maybe we just need to set up a school that's in the middle. Come on, Dad.
Hasn't Charlotte Church done that somewhere?
Has she?
I think so.
Nice.
Charlotte Church, your dad was talking to her, I'm fairly sure.
Right.
Because I went, and maybe I shouldn't talk about that.
No, go for it.
I think there were, we went for a meeting and she was there, and I was just looking like, I love your music. But she was talking on that front about, Steiner Schools being a little bit old school and back in the past, but having great principles. And obviously we know about mainstream education being a bit too forced and authoritative, and could they do that? So I think there's something in the makings there.
There you go. Just in time for Ella.
It does feel like it needs to be that, because I want Ella to have all the opportunities possible, but I do want her to make her own decisions and have her own curiosity explored. And I feel school that I went to stamped that out as hard as they could.
We need to get rid of that. What do you want to be? Who do you want to be? Like, from a young age, you're told you've got to be something, and it's just like, what, a vet, doctor?
That's so true.
We should just start off, who do you want to be? Not what do you want to be.
I just think the world's so different now, even in this year, because it was still following suit of my grandma and granddad's generation of you get this job, you do this job for this amount of time, you get a pension, you die, to... I don't know if this has been a long time, but 2 to 3 years, and now people are going, well, I want this job, and I'll do a bit of poetry here. Do you know what? I really like filmmaking, so I'm going to try this over here. Yeah. And just a constant shifting and trying out and completionist.
Yeah, but that's how it should be.
Doing things, and it definitely works for me. Yeah. It suits me.
Definitely.
And I've come to this understanding now that I can't tell people what to do and what's best for them. And I felt like I could when I was a bit younger. I was like, the system's fucked, we're all fucked, it's all wrong. And now I feel like I've got this attitude, I'm going to say these things for people that have fallen to the system, that aren't finding it's working for them. Yeah. So I'm trying to help people and speak to people that are struggling. Yeah. But for the ones that are happy with 9 to 5, go out on the weekend, do this, and they feel comfortable in it. Yeah. Cool, it works. It's for you. Yeah. But it just doesn't seem to work for me. And I think there's a lot of people like us that need these other ideas.
100%. I think that was the hardest part about coming back to the UK. Obviously, travelling before. The whole, 9 to 5, tea at 6 o'clock. I remember when I first moved back and people at uni were making tea at 4 p.m. and I was just like... what? Why? But it's just because it's the repetition, isn't it? Like, let's work, do this, do that, and then go to sleep. When actually life I experienced elsewhere, it'd be 10 o'clock at night and they'd be like, let's go out, let's go do something. There's no spontaneity, I didn't find.
I suppose travelling's made you the incredible person that you are today.
Possibly. Or my Jeanette. No, I'm joking.
You can't take a compliment, can you?
No, I can't.
I saw you then. You were like, Mikey,
don't compliment me.
What are you doing? Can we go into that a little bit? Yeah. Where you've been and where you've travelled?
Yeah, so after we lost Mum, we went on a holiday in Dubai. And I remember being in the Hilton Hotel and Dad saying... we're not going to go back to the UK. Let's just stay here. So he went back to the UK with my sister. He packed up. Me and my stepmom stayed in Dubai, and that was it. That was like the spontaneity of that. Is that the right word?
Spontaneity,
yeah. And so that's how Dubai happened. And then we went back to the UK for a holiday. And I remember Dad saying, "We're not going back to Dubai." Great. I think we were talking about moving to Bristol, and then the next day I got another call from him saying, "We're going to go to Chile."
Wow.
So we went on the flight, got to Chile, stayed in Chile, learnt Spanish, went to school there, loved it. It's a gorgeous country. And then something happened and we ended up in Hong Kong, and then I grew up in Hong Kong and I just absolutely loved it. Hong Kong is home. Home Kong, we call it. Home Kong.
Why was it Home Kong? What happened in Home Kong?
Oh, it's just the best of both worlds. You lived in a city, but you could go to the islands, you're on a boat every weekend, you were by the beach. It was the dream life, but it's not that way anymore because of China, but we won't get into that.
I've been to Hong Kong.
Yeah.
Hong Kong for I think 7 hours. I had a little drop off and then stop off. Yeah. And I did one night there because on the way back I had to stay.
Oh yeah.
But it was like a airport hotel.
Right, yeah.
I managed to get a bit of street food though. But what was it about the people there and
I think you're all in the same boat. You're all from somewhere else. So you're all trying to find your home there and make it yours. Okay. And everyone brings something different to the table. I had German friends, English friends, American friends, Israeli friends, Latina friends. Everyone's bringing something to the table. You all had a different tradition that you'd add in or a different humour that you'd add in. It was just exciting all the time.
That sounds fantastic.
That was it.
I'm glad you tried. So when did you actually come back and stay at the UK then? How old were you then?
So I was 18, 19.
Okay. So and that was basically...
uni.
Yeah, so you've just travelled all around, did international schools, was it?
Yeah.
And then you've come back and then, right, I've got a passion. Yeah. I want to help young people. Yeah. And I'm going to go to uni. Yeah. Are you glad you did uni?
Yeah, I am. I have no idea how I ended up in Sheffield Hallam. How? I don't know.
Is it because it's got good raves and that, have it?
Yeah. I'm so glad I did it. I am glad I did it. There's so much to uni life that's just, you just can wake up and say, should we go to the pub because it's sunny? You don't have any responsibility. But I'm glad to have finished. I was ready to finish.
Would you put to young people coming out of school...
Yeah.
go to uni?
Yeah.
Or would you say take a bit of time out and think about things and then go to uni as an option?
I'd say go. Just go. Go, because it's not like school.
Yeah.
It's not like school. It's not cliquey like that. You know, you don't have that pressure. You just got to do something you love and enjoy. And if you don't love that course, you'll find another one. But go, because you move out of home and you live with your best friends, and it's just so much fun. You can do not whatever you want, but there's just so much responsibility that you take on for yourself. It's empowering. I'm so glad I went.
Was it a good course that you went on to do?
Yeah, I did childhood studies. Yeah, it was. I went on there because, going back to statistics, me, my brother and my sister are normal. We didn't go down the road that we should have after losing mum, and I wanted to know what happened in childhood. What did we get right that made us who we are? And that's why I studied that course.
What did you come to any conclusions there?
Yeah, it was the attachment theory. It was having that specific one attachment, which was mainly my granny.
Right, okay.
Having her that was consistent throughout it all.
So mainly for the people who have ended up in those statistics, the bad side of the statistics is because they've not had anybody else to replace that gap.
Yeah, definitely.
Right,
100%.
that's powerful.
I believe so anyways.
Okay, and well, this sounds like a good belief. So if you're dealing with young people that have lost a parent, let's say, is your role to try and help others around that children? I know they can't fill in that gap necessarily wholly, but give the support that person would be giving, because I suppose if you lose a mum or if you lose a dad, it's a very different role that they're performing. Have you got to help people supply part of that role?
I think it all comes back to love. Be that main figure that's just giving them love. You don't necessarily have to, fill the gap. You just need to be there.
Yeah.
Be honest, be open, and just allow. How can I word it properly? Allow for direction. Give that person direction. And accept if you are the person that's lost someone and someone's trying to help you. Try and accept it. That no one's trying to fill the gap, but people are just trying to love you. And I think when you lose someone, especially a parent, I know that I struggle with feeling unloved, just because you lose a parent, you don't think you're good enough.
Yeah.
That's what it stems from. We lost mum, and I will still to this day question, did I do something wrong? Is that what happened? But you just need to accept love from other people, because it's not you. You haven't done something wrong.
Have you had to do a lot of therapy for yourself after it?
Yeah, I'm still, because I was so young after losing mum, and every year is different. I'm still going through, different phases. So I don't think there's one set of therapy that kind of fixes it all. But I think, importantly, like CBT for me was my main one. I found that counselling therapy, you just go and sit in a room, you bring all this shit up, and then you have to walk out and you're just stuck feeling awful all day. But I felt like CBT, cognitive behaviour, I felt like CBT was the one that you go in, you say, I'm feeling crap, what can I do today?
Right, okay. That helped, because I've heard it get a lot of bad rap, actually, CBT.
Really?
Yeah. But mainly for that purpose, because they're just like, they're putting a surface over something when there's a broken thing down here that needs looking at. But again, I suppose it falls back to that, what does the individual need?
Definitely.
And you're finding out what worked for you. But there might be people who go, right, actually you need to go to the roots and go underground.
Yeah, definitely.
I think for me, CBT's really powerful and works, because
100%.
that the smoothing over, I feel for self doing the days that I did and everything, the explorations I've been on, I've done so much soul searching, I can't go much further. I can't keep going back and forth going, well, I wasn't loved as a kid, therefore I'm here. I've done enough of that to go, this is why the repercussions have occurred, this is why the pain and why I act like I act
definitely
happens. What else can I do about that? Here's a way of smoothing it. So I think CBT, the both in hand can work well.
Yeah, definitely. It's all of it. It's about what works for you, isn't it? Like for me, going back to psychedelics and everything and medication, I have never met anyone where medications worked, antidepressants and stuff. And it's not the same for everyone, but for me, CBT was the way I wanted to go. I wanted to not numb it and not medicate it. I wanted to just work through it on a day that I'm feeling rubbish. Now I know why, and now I know what to do.
I think medication should be the last resort completely.
100%.
For me, I self-medicated, but because I would be dead without it. I didn't have the resources, the opportunities to go to that step.
Yeah, exactly.
So it was a guy on Reddit I discovered, and he pushed me down that path, but he saved my life in essence.
Yeah.
Because I felt, I've been lied to all my life. There's another realm. There's knowledge that I've never even embarked upon. So I went through that, but I think it's a very, very last resort. I think the answer is always within us.
Yeah, definitely.
And you could go through yoga, you could go through meditation, you could go through breathing exercises, and then having actual exercises to go upon that can help you find the answer in a better way.
100%. No, definitely. I think people, or doctors, to be fair, the first thing they do is just give out medication. I remember when we were in Hong Kong, there were so many students that I knew of at 16 that had just been piled with medication. No one had actually gone, right, what's the issue? Let's help you. Let's talk through it. Tell me. Just tell me what it is.
Because I am quite fascinated in substance now.
Yeah.
Because I've had a lot of friends addicted to them. My auntie worked for a charity helping addicts, and I've been and worked in a lot of rehabilitation centres doing poetry workshops.
Powerful.
And I love them because they've got the best stories. But they have a similar story, They've been to the doctors, and particularly people that were addicted to heroin. It was always like methadone was just the quick fix, easy answer. But again, it's another drug. It's a really powerful substance that just masks you. And then as soon as it wears off, you're desperate for the next fix. And I've spoken to so many people that advocate abstinence-based recovery, and that's because it is going down into the soul, going down into the roots and finding the problem and trying to be long-term. So I think it's always better to try and do it naturally and come up with them answers.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, do you have anything that you're, as well as this business, that you're going on towards? Like, where's Phoebe in the next, whenever?
Oh gosh, what, every day it's different. One day I think, let's just go to Bondi Beach and make a bar.
Yeah, that sounds ace.
And the other day it was, let's go to London and just open up a Cwtchy Care shop. I don't know, I think after COVID I feel like there's so much you can do. I don't think there's any.
Is your dad very supportive of all these ideas? Does he sort of push them all upon you and say, right, well, you've got all these, just now make one? He's never like pushy, but he's always, there's no limit. He's never ever been like, no, you can't do that, that's not gonna work. He's like, yeah, go for it. Really?
He's always been like that. Like, he's always, nothing was ever wrong. Not wrong, but I mean, he was one of the lenient parents. And I think one time he was told to, like, not control your children, but like be a bit more strict. But actually the reason we're so open is because he was so lenient. Because,
understanding.
Yeah, but if I were to make a mistake, I learnt from it. It was never like, well, you fucked up, get out. You know what I mean? Like, it was, okay, that wasn't great, but let's move.
If you were thinking of, say, doing a parenting podcast and giving some advice out and learning from such an inspirational figure like your dad, what would some of the attributes be or characteristics where you think that makes a good parent?
Right. Oh gosh, where do we start? Humour. I don't think anyone makes me laugh like my dad. Although his rule is, if one person's laughing, then it's funny, and normally he's the one person laughing. God, attributes. Yeah, humour. I mean, just handling everything with care. No topic should be too difficult to handle with a parent. You need to offer openness. Like, I think some people think we're aliens because my family chat is just constantly going, and there's nothing too rude, nothing too funny that we don't share with each other.
Seriously?
Yeah, it's always like, I'll check my phone in a minute.
I can't picture this at all.
I'll
show me what I'm allowed to see.
Oh God, you don't want to see it. I know exactly what I can show you up.
That sounds great.
But yeah, openness. Like, my dad has just been open, but he had to take on the mother figure, and that's where everything changed. Because actually, when I was little, I was always a daddy's girl, but dad was working. We were, coping with mum. But then when we lost mum, he had to be mum. So he's my mother fudder, as we call him. He's mum. Mother fudder, and I don't know how we came up with that. It was like mother and father, but it's turned into mother fudder and then motherfucker. I don't know. Who knows how we got here? I don't know how we got there. But yeah, he's mum and dad in one. So that, I think, is it. Just be the parent you wanted. Be that parent you wanted and you needed.
Yeah. That's powerful. And the biggest one for you, love.
Yeah, and love.
Give love.
Yeah, love. Cuddle me. Like, me and my dad will have a cuddle. I remember saying to a friend the other day, like, do you cuddle your dad? And she said, no. And I just thought, what? I at any chance, I'll just cuddle dad and I'll just sit on his lap, because I think anything could happen next week. I can't cuddle you, and I just want to cuddle you.
I feel if you wrote a book, it'd just be called Love. And then the page would just say, just love each other, you idiots.
That is it, just love. Nothing else.
That's all you need. Do you have passions as well? Like, are you sporty?
Oof. At the minute, my newfound passion is the gym.
Really?
Like, where my brain, if I'm having
get a bit of escapism.
Yeah.
Because do you have an active mind?
Yeah, 100%.
Do you?
I struggle with sleep. I can't not think. I'm always thinking.
Is it of good-natured thoughts? Are you always thinking of the next best thing to do and thinking of business endeavours, or are you thinking about how horrible life is?
Well, it depends what day it is.
Yeah,
I mean, now, probably how
Isn't
lovely life is.
I'm on a bus.
Who knows where I am? I don't know where I am. I'm on a farm. Chrissy just bought me from Derby Station.
This might not be even my farm.
I don't know where I am. My passions. At the minute, my passion is literally, I just love my kids.
Yeah,
that is my passion at the minute. Not my kids.
The kids that you work with.
That's my passion, I think. Gymming. I just love to love as well. Love to give.
We're gymming. We're gymming. Do you go on the treadmill when you're doing it?
Yeah.
Do you listen to podcasts?
I'm trying to get into it, but don't ask me the names because I could not for the life remember.
Really? Do you know what they're about when you're listening?
No, because I just switch off. I start listening, my attention span's awful, and then I'll be looking at someone, a nice beautiful man across the gym lifting.
Hello.
Sorry, Matt.
I was going to say, I hope that's Matt.
He's not at the gym, he's asleep.
So, I mean, that is your pure escapism then, because we do need them, don't we? Because I feel, for myself, when I got into poetry, I just did poetry.
Yeah.
And I really embarked upon that path vehemently.
Yeah.
And it was just performing to London, to Bristol, to Brighton, to all over the country. And it'd be every other day.
But sometimes you need an escape from your escape.
Oh,
does that make sense?
Yeah, completely. Well, I think that would be an escape in my mind. But because I turned it into a job, it was actually not an escape at all.
Yeah.
Because I was trying to build something.
Yeah.
So a real escape would have been being at home, relaxed, doing things I enjoy. I used to love football. Used to. But I totally just switched off to all of those. And I thought I was escaping because after the poetry recitals and performances, I'd be having a drink with everybody and we'd be having a laugh.
Yeah.
But then the next night I'd be going to the next event, and it wasn't ever turning off actually, because it was networking and so on. But then after that year of madness unfurled, I realised how bad my health had sunk. My mind started sinking with it and I was deteriorating. And I went back to a boxing class for a bit because I used to do a lot of boxing. It's crazy because I was really health related. Then went into this hippie poet, just travelling all the time. But it was that triangle of going, respect your mind, respect your body, and respect your soul. Yeah, literally. All in that same balance. Yeah. And that's where I felt the happiest in my life. Definitely. Because I still get to do my creative plays and enjoyment, but also I've got the business spinning plate, so I'm taking myself seriously, but also now I make time to go and see friends and do the good bits I like. And it is for helping young people find that important balance. Yeah, I think that's so important. I think this is the most like balanced I've ever been with, you know, I wake up at 5 a.m, go to the gym. Wow, okay. Dedicated. You go. And then work from 8 till 6 p.m. and then, you know, then do a bit of Cwtchy Care stuff. But it's all balanced and I'm exhausted, but in the best possible way. Is it taking up a lot of your time, Cwtchy Care? Some days, what I'm struggling with at the minute
if we're being honest on the podcast, is being inspired. I'm in a phase this past week where I just feel like I don't know who I am, what I'm doing. I look like I have it all together, but
I was gonna say, you seem all right to me, love.
Well, it's all the front. No, it's not all the front, but some weeks I'm absolutely acing it, and I'm doing so much with Cwtchy Care. And like I sold on the first day I launched it. I remember being in bed with anxiety and just saying to my partner, like, this is a shit idea. It's not going to do anything. I hate it, just delete it. And then I got a message the next day from a care company saying they want 100 boxes.
Wow. Got so excited.
But yeah, and so then I was like, well, shit, like, people want this. But then at the minute I'm just feeling inspired again, and it's just trying to find that, what's it called where you just that oomph to just want to do something again.
The fire, the burning,
the fire.
The inspiration.
But I think it's because I turned my escape into like what you've just said, where you were overdoing, not overdoing it, but you suddenly turned into a job.
Well, I think it gives breath into what you love if you do your passions, because when you're giving yourself that time away, when you're there, sometimes you're going, oh yeah, I can't wait to get back into this. But as soon as you go, I do poetry, you do burn out eventually.
Genuinely.
It consumes you.
Yeah, definitely.
Completely. So I think it's fundamentally so important to have all the things about you taken care of.
Yeah, 100%. That's what I'm trying to work on.
Would you like to collaborate with us then? Do you think we could get you on the bus? Would you do any workshops with it or anything?
Yeah, 100%. That is, when you asked earlier, actually, like, what's my direction? That's one of them. I want to
really
do workshops with it. I'd happily set you up a Cwtchy corner.
Oh, really? We do a lot of workshops and stuff here.
That would be amazing.
Like outdoors, and we've got a peacock running about and the pigs and stuff. It's really nice.
100%. There would be
we'd
somewhere
love to connect with you and start collaborating. Having you down here more would be amazing.
Oh yeah, do it.
I really want that.
Yeah, let's go
honestly,
for it.
Me and Chrissy love you. After we had that documentary together, we just left going, what a brilliant family. Should we make that sort of family for us?
You haven't seen the family chat yet.
After this, I'm going to be like, sick gits. We're not collaborating with you.
Sick gits. That's why we've got a granny chat that she's allowed to be in.
Right,
one
just one without.
Sick gits. That would be the new name of the family chat.
Sick gits. Sounds like the Twits. Honestly. Do you have in mind then how your podcast, your workshops would sort of look?
So I think there's two ways I could take it. There's one that I want to do about the comfort and all of that, but I think mainly it would be grief focused.
Okay.
So I think working with people, and mainly possibly practitioners and all of that on how to cope with students that are dealing with death, or teachers. I think that's what we need to work on, really, if I were to do those types of things.
Well, honestly, we want you on here.
Well, let's do it.
Yeah.
I'll see you next weekend.
Put some funding in the guy.
Straight in my pocket.
I have got to go and play Dad.
Right.
So thank you so much for being on here. Have you enjoyed it?
I've absolutely loved it. Honestly, time with you is always so fun.
Oh, you're just saying that now.
It's always good fun, isn't it? It's always good
Would
fun.
you do it again?
100%.
And would you start your own?
Let's go for it.
What are you going to call it?
Just
put you on the spot
here. What could it be? Cwtchy chats? No, I don't like that.
I think you were going somewhere with that.
Caring chats, cuddly chat. I don't know.
Cuddly chat?
Go on, yeah, cuddly chat.
I love cuddly chat. Do you think we've just named it?
Yeah, possibly. Deal.
Can I be your first guest, please?
Yeah. Go for it.
Honestly, if you want any of the gear, anything, I'd love to help you, because
100%.
you're somebody on a mission, and I want to help facilitate that mission.
Woohoo!
1,000,000%.
Thank you.
Can you just let everybody know, my nan, because she stays to the end, where they can access all your material, everything you're doing? Cwtchy. Right, so Cwtchy Care, it's Cwtchy in the Welsh term. So Cwtchy Care is on Instagram, which is probably the best place to find me, and then cwtchycare.com, which is online. Bro.
And there you go. So it's just
my gran, she loves Instagram. She can't get her off it.
I need a hashtag, that'll help.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Guys, you've been a part of the Old Farm Bus, Back of the Bus Sessions podcast. Let's leave you on this. Be nice to each other, you beautiful buggers. Remember what Phoebe says. Just love one another. That's all you got to do.
Cheers to that.
Love is simple. Kind words. Cheers for being here.